Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. And I'm willing to bet the house on this. Sebastian Fundora, and I think this has already been planned, pre-planned. And that's just my opinion. Y'all know I believe in the secret society. You know there's always shit going on behind the scenes that we'll never be aware of. Unless the fly on the wall starts goddamn talking instead of bzzz all over the goddamn place, we'll never know. But if you just pay attention, it's called optics. Just observe what's going on. It will all make sense. The picture will become very, very clear. Boom! Fundora's going to drop the WBO belt. He's going to fight Errol Spence for the WBC. Crawford now is going to fight none other than Tszyu for the vacant title. So Tszyu against Crawford for the WBO. Spence and Fundora for the WBC. Now the consensus is Crawford should beat Tszyu, pick up the WBO strap. Errol Spence should beat Fundora, pick up the WBC strap. And then Crawford and Spence, they'll scrap. And a unification at 154, a weight that Spence should be more comfortable at, even Crawford should be more comfortable at, and Spence will get his rematch and have an opportunity to show the world that what happened at 147 was a fluke. Now, you're probably saying, hey, yo, Hood Champion, hold your horses, quit taking to the stupid. But to you, I say, screw you, subscriber or non-subscribers. How dare you hold your horses on me? You tell me what makes sense then, Mick Nicholas. Because that makes all the sense in the world to me. Tszyu lost, so what? Most people feel that what happened in that fight with Tszyu, that the ball was dropped big time. A lot of people don't agree with how that fight went. And you better believe the WBO can easily justify reinserting Tszyu for another opportunity, because I would say 95% of people feel that Tszyu there was just some poor decisions made in that fight, not just by Tszyu, not by his corner, not by just the referee and the judges. I think collectively, I think as a community, the ball was dropped, and Fundora got himself an unfair advantage for the rest of the fight, and he luckily got a split decision. And I don't think nobody would complain. I heard somebody say, only at the PBC can you get knocked out and come back and fight for the belt you just lost or get an immediate rematch. Hey, yo, hold your horses, man. That shit happens all over, but it doesn't happen that often, but it happens. If a fighter is in a very competitive fight, or there are other circumstances that transpired that affected the outcome of a fight, right? But if a fighter's in a competitive fight and they happen to lose or get knocked out, I mean, there's going to be a demand for the rematch. But this shit with Tszyu and Fundora, there should be a rematch. Now, as far as Errol Spence and how does he fare against Fundora? No, man, I think it depends on his scar tissue. I've said that. But Fundora, I think Fundora realized fighting Tszyu that, hey, look, I need to use my natural attributes. I need to use what I was born with. You know what I mean? And not sitting there trying to go toe-to-toe to prove that I'm a real Mexican warrior. Like, that shit is dumb. Get in there and win. Vladimir Klitschko, these guys. You know what I'm saying? Lennox Lewis, these guys. Fundora can have, for the rest of his career, can go undefeated. From here on out, Fundora can be undefeated if he wants to box smart. But, hey, he just got that Mexican blood in him. You know what I'm saying? Man, he's looking for the mash-up, crash-up. So he doesn't give a shit. For Errol Spence, I'll tell you what, I don't know what he's doing. If he's got a new trainer, he's still with Derek James, he's going to pay him the money. Is he going to come in there and box? He's going to try to move? Errol Spence is going to still be a guy who just basically comes forward behind the jab and look for the mash-up, crash-up? I don't know what Errol Spence is going to do. But I hope they're not underestimating Sebastian Fundora, because that shit may look easy from the outside, but once you get in there, it ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I had to spar a guy. He wasn't that tall, but I had to spar this guy. He was like 6'4", something like that, and he was a little. He wasn't like skinny like Fundora. He was a healthy dude, but he was just 6'4". He outweighed me. At the time, but they put me into the sparring because he had sparred a couple of times, but he was working on his shit. They wanted me to work with him. So I was like, okay, he's green. I'll get in there with him. But I realized, this man is throwing his jab from across the ring. And I was able to get out the way because I could anticipate what he was going to do because he was tensing up. So I could see his chest flexing. I could see everything. When he was about to jab, I could see it coming. So I was already stepping in and moving out the way, and the punches were going right by me. And then I'm right in his personal space. So, it can happen, but with a guy who's, bottom line is what I'm saying is that I realized quick, like when there's such a difference in height and reach, like you gotta really be on your P's and Q's. You can get hurt in there. And with a guy who's trained and qualified to be in the ring like Sebastian Fundora and Spence, who's just full steam ahead, I just not so sure Spence is gonna be able to get in there and get an easy win. I just don't think it's gonna happen that way. But we gotta wait and see, because Fundora's there to be hit. Spence is a southpaw, so a southpaw versus southpaw. And we just got to see if Spence can get close enough, because I think it definitely be an attack on the body. But while you're going to Fundora's body, he's hitting you in your head. And I think Errol Spence is going to swell up. That's just me. I'm not an Errol Spence fan or a Fundora fan. I'm just a boxing fan. And I think he's going to swell up and have problems. Terrence Crawford and Tszyu, that's a good fight. I think Tszyu loses that fight, though. I do. I think he'll lose it to Terrence Crawford. I think Terrence Crawford is a amazing fighter. I think Tszyu is an amazing fighter. Tszyu is explosive. But Tszyu's best chance to win that fight against Terrence Crawford is in the first 3-4 rounds. He's got to get in there, and especially if Terrence Crawford goes southpaw, catch Terrence Crawford when he's changing and explode. But he got to come in behind his jab, not just throw the kind of looping right hand, or it's like a hook right hand he throws. You got to come back with something. You got to come back with the left. More than one, more than two punches. You got to maybe put together like a 3, 4, 5 punch combination once you get in close on Crawford. Crawford, he can fight on the inside, but he needs space to throw because his arms are so long. So Tszyu is going to have to make it a fight in the phone booth. But if he sits on the outside and he lets Terrence Crawford turn into southpaw, man, the Tszyu, and although he brings the Aussie Bing Bings in the ring, he can find himself getting tranquilized by southpaw, man, and losing again. So all in all, I think we got two good scraps right here. I don't know about this whole shit about pay-per-view. I know Fundora and Spence will go pay-per-view. They probably do Crawford Tszyu on pay-per-view, but I don't know where Crawford and Tszyu would land. What are you going to take that to Nebraska? Go down to Australia? I mean, I don't know. But I think this is the direction it should go. And of course, the winner, if it's Spence and Crawford, they should fight each other. But if it goes a different way, I don't know what they're going to do. But that being said, word on the street is this is what could materialize if Fundora chooses not to fight Terrence Crawford. I have a feeling this is what we're going to see. No doubt about it. That's just how I feel. But more to come. I guess we'll find out, right? Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.